Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Talk of the Town with me, Lynn About Town, here in sunny Clearwater, Florida, from the WTAN studios on Myrtle Avenue in downtown. Welcome everyone. We are so happy to have you. You share your drive time, a lot of you, from 5 to 6 p.m. And today, I'm bringing you two really good local guys. We have an artist. We have a guy who has learned all kinds of certification for emergency response. Mm-hmm. One of them is actually called CERT, right?
Yeah.
That's it. So we have John Buell. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we have John Smith.
Hi.
That's right. It's a John show. One is spelled Jon, JONSmithArt.com, and the other is JOHN. So welcome, guys. I know it's been a little crazy day, but thank you for coming.
No problem.
Thank you.
So I think the first person we're going to talk to is John Smith. John Smith, I'm holding up a book that he created on Facebook, folks, and it's called John Smith, People and Places. Now, John, I'm going to read a little bit from his bio because he's going to be very, very humble. John's training in art began as a child and continued through his studies at the University of South Carolina, the College of Charleston, and finally the Leo Marchutz School of Painting and Drawing in, Provence.
Aix-en-Provence.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. It was in southern France while painting on location and studying the Impressionists that John developed his sense of light and color. The techniques John developed in southern France as a plein air painter are carried forward in his interior settings where he is able to capture that same sense of light. Now, I'm going to show Facebook a few from this amazing book, but I want to also tell you that in living across the street from John, I have had the extreme pleasure of watching him do custom work for people in the size of, what was that big painting?
I knew you were going to say that. The one with the Michelangelo sculpture of David, right?
Yes.
And it was huge. But it was. I had to move everything out of the living room of the cathedral ceiling. It was like 9 feet.
Yeah.
High.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just drop dead gorgeous. Like, I'm not going to have the particular fancy art words, but I will speak from my heart and passion. It was gorgeous. So picture, he gets someone who just really wants to capture their time that they spent in Rome, in Florence.
Yeah.
Firenze.
That's right. So I did it as a commission for this lady in California.
Yeah.
And so it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
And then it was really fun traveling and bringing that and making sure nothing happened to it while you delivered it.
I know.
That's where you started sweating.
Yeah.
It wasn't on the painting.
I had to pack it and ship it, so that was quite the feat. Quite the adventure.
And then wondering all along, are they going to just get it there in one piece? Yeah.
And they did.
Well, John can do anything. He can do impressionist work. He can do portraiture. I've seen it all. He can do it all. But a very interesting thing happened, and I love that John is a working artist. He takes what he loves and he does it on the daily. He goes around and he is participant in the greatest art shows around the country. He travels to them, and I'm holding up a poster of one of the art shows. And the reason that I'm holding this up is, can you imagine how many artists are in these shows? To be picked, to have your art be featured on the poster for the show is a big deal.
What's interesting is I didn't even know they were going to do that piece before the show.
No,
they did not tell me.
So you showed up and there it was.
I showed up and there it was, yes.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
John, tell the story, because I think there's going to be some budding artists listening and people that may have the passion for art, but they can't quite figure out how to not be a starving artist and be a working artist. Tell them the story you told me about when you were entering one of these art shows and the woman hosting it said, John, you're really onto something here. You can do it all, but tell that story.
Well, yeah, this was early in the art show career. I had this little painting of a museum, and it was interspersed with landscapes, portraiture, you name it, I was doing it. And I had no cohesive body of work. And this lady actually did jurying to select artists for their art shows, and said, "Yes, you're onto something. It fits your style. It fits what you're trying to do and your strong points." So I just started that, and it became a whole body of work, and it really turned into the museum series. And the reason I went this direction is I wanted to do more with people. I was trained initially as a landscape painter. Plein air, that means like painting outside on location. I was doing that in the south of France. And then I got interested in the old masters. And I felt like the old masters had a lot to offer. So I started doing copies of the old masters. And that became a whole additional learning tool for me. And what happened in the end is my work leveled out sort of dead center, like part Impressionism and part classical realism. And it just seemed to be where I felt comfortable. And it also was the style I wanted to work in. It lent itself to the subject matter I wanted to work in, because people are my subject. I really like people. Even if you do a landscape, if you put some people in there, it brings it to life. It's just something about people have more life.
They do.
This is a little girl viewing a John Singer Sargent in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. Now, what's interesting also about when I put another master's work in the piece, I find myself automatically painting in that style. Like if it was a Monet back there, it would tend to, the whole painting would tend to be more impressionistic.
How interesting.
It
just magically happened.
It just
that way.
magically happens. It's just whatever style. If it was a Rembrandt, it would be a little, the Rembrandt lighting would carry through the whole thing, and it's just that that style of work, and
It's beautiful.
I'm just sort of picking up
Yes.
what the initial artist was capturing as well as the overall.
So now I'm assuming, because obviously, guys, he's not sitting in the museum. They'd kick him out by the time.
Right,
by
they
the
would kick me
time-
out if I was trying to do this on location. yeah.
Exactly. So you're going to be capturing a photograph or a bunch of photographs first.
Right. I did photograph the scene because I knew I wanted to do the
For
scene.
placement and yeah.
Yes. I had the girl pose separately. And I set up my lighting and I walked a semicircle around her, photographing her, chose the best pose, and put her on that location.
Beautiful.
So cool.
Beautiful.